Welcome to the very first Village Direct. We're doing something a little bit different this year for our family meetings. We thought, because we value your time, that we would take the informational portion of our family meetings and give that to you directly onto your screens or wherever you're watching this or listening to this right now. Because we love to interact with you, we love to get together in person and chat and share things and hear your questions, but we can do all of the update stuff this way. And we want to make time that we're together, we want to make the most of that time. And so we are going to set aside a date, April 14th, after the gathering, for some time to answer questions and just chat with you in person about all the stuff that we're about to talk to you about, as well as anything else that might be on your mind. But without further ado, we just want to bust out some things that we just want to share with you guys as the elders, Matt, Scott, and Michael. So you can find this video. I don't know where you're watching this or where you're listening to this, but you can find this video as well as some supplemental resources for more information about the things that we're going to talk about on our website at myvillagechurch.com/direct. So you can go there and find this and lots of other things as well. But with that, we'll jump into the updates. All right, the first thing we wanted to update you all about is the trip that Matt and Michael just went on to Guatemala, our Global Go initiative. So do you guys want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, a couple things, and trying to be respectful and not just tell a bunch of things that don't matter. So Guatemala is south of the U.S.
It's a good place to start.
It's good enough. Guatemala City is where we flew into, and it is largely modern. And so just to give some context, like, man, there's a McDonald's and Starbucks and even a Chuck E. Cheese. People wear shoes and all of those things. And I don't say those things to make fun of anything in particular, other than the fact that if you have no context for where we went, man, all that stuff's really helpful. So the city itself looked a lot like a large city in the U.S. And so that's where we flew into. We connected first with a church planter named Mitch Munoz and his wife Amanda. And Matt and I stayed with them in their house for a couple days, and their house was normal. It was outside of the village and outside of the city a little bit, and so felt relatively normal. And then we got to spend some time in the village of Los Chilitos, and that was less than normal, a little different than a normal day in the U.S. And so Mitch and Amanda have been there since 2013, and basically just doing the work largely of being disciples sent to make disciples. And so they spend a ton of time in homes, people's homes throughout the village. It's basically just kind of long winding roads through some trees and hillsides and all that stuff. And so just getting to know people. The church kind of gathering space has a roof over it, but it doesn't have walls or anything like that. So just some pillars, and they put intentionally a soccer field next to that church building. And by soccer field is like a large flat patch of gravel and sand
with kind of a cliff-like structure on the side.
Yeah. So if you scored, you win, but then you have to chase the ball. Yeah.
Yes.
You also. So anyway, so we just spent some time hanging out there, visiting homes, and getting to know people. Everyone spoke Spanish, so we had to, obviously like lean on their translation and all that stuff. But just seeing what they did was so encouraging. And then our last full day with them, we got to connect with the larger church that they're part of, Casa de Libertad, which is an Acts 29 church in Guatemala City. And so that was, that felt like a church in the U.S. I mean, it was like great. We had translation, little head earbuds in or whatever, so we could hear what they're saying and all that stuff. And it's really great. So that time was really helpful, seeing really the rural poor. The other side of our trip, the last 3 days we spent with an organization called La Limonada and Vidas Plenas, and they were in the largest urban slum in Central America, and so it was quite different. Lots of not dirt floors in these houses, but concrete everywhere, in a big kind of sewage ravine that the city is built around, and so we got to do the same thing. We got to see God's work there through the intentionality of many, many, many willing hands serving people in dangerous places. And they had kind of set up some academies to invest in the kids in lots and lots of ways. So the highlight of that stuff at the same time was that we got to spend time in homes, and we got to see people, and we got to see people show mercy and offer hope and the light of the gospel and all those things. And so very different kind of two legs, but both really helpful. And both of those opportunities were about 2 hours away. Traffic's pretty rough, but about 2 hours away. And so, Matt, I don't know what you want to add or subtract from that.
No, it's cool. I love all that, and we look forward to sharing more of that with you on Global Go Sunday, which I think is in April. Also, we have many opportunities. We want to invite you guys into that as well, where we might get to partner with these churches and organizations. We get to maybe even sponsor children. We get to maybe even go at the end of this year or next year. And so, man, like, we look forward to how God will use our church in those lives in Guatemala. And so, man, more to come on that. But there will be a huddle coming up sooner than later. And so, man, just be aware, be looking. If you're interested in this or feel God calling you to missions or to explore that, we would love to talk with you more about that.
It's cool. It's great. If you want some more information or to see a little bit about what their trip looked like, Michael put together a slideshow that we'll link as well on that myvillagechurch.com/direct page. So if you want to look and learn a little bit more about the city, the organizations, the people that they hung out with, check that out because it's actually really cool. So thanks for sharing that, guys. Want to talk about VBS. So we're doing Vacation Bible School again this year. We're super pumped about it. We're looking at the last week of June, kind of like we did last year. So it'll be the 24th through the 28th of this year. And the theme is clap your hands, stomp your feet. That's the name of the curriculum that we've done. If you've, you
got it.
If you knew about last year's curriculum, it came from Sojourn Church down in Louisville, and this year's curriculum comes from them as well. And it's all about worship and just helping our kids understand why we worship, what worship is, and really responding to God rightly and all the things that He has done for us and everything about who He is. And so we're going to spend 5 days looking at that and surveying the life of King David and seeing how worship was a part of his life. And so we'll look at laughing and clapping and singing and shouting and giving thanks, really seeing how God surprises us, how He wins battles. He's a faithful friend. God is with us. And that God shows us His kindness, and all of that being tied every day and throughout the whole week to the gospel. And so this is a great VBS curriculum, not just for kids that have grown up in the church or familiar with Jesus, but even the unchurched as well. And so we're super pumped about it. Really excited to do that again this year. And Matt's actually helping out with a lot of the stuff this year, so I'll let him kind of share some things about it.
Looking forward to it. Man, Scott did a great job with it last year, but it's a huge weight and a lot to carry out. And so I get to come alongside him and help carry some of that weight, organize some of the stuff, and help in the communication part of it as well. We are looking forward to expanding it a little bit. Last year we kind of made it a little more in-house, and this year we are not going like huge, but man, we want to invite some people in our community, other friends, and consider what that could look like. And we're also, excited about this is an opportunity for evangelism for our church, and we look forward to also inviting the parents of those kids that will be coming. Certainly parents of kids here might know Christ already, but many of the kids whose parents may be not regularly connecting with us, we want to make sure that they know what's happening. And this is just a great way for us to follow up with emails, invite them to our gatherings so they can hear the gospel as well, and encourage those kids that come to share what they're learning with their parents as well.
Yeah, we're super excited about that. Last year went really well, thanks to all of you guys that helped out with that. And so we're looking at just some of the things that we could do to make this year even better. If you're interested in helping out with that at all, leading in any capacity or volunteering or just showing up to see what this thing is all about, we're going to have an interest huddle on Sunday, March 24th. Right after the gathering. So if you are interested in learning anything about that or joining in, we will have more information to share with you there. We'll let you know the serving opportunities that are there, and we'll also have a website up by then that has all the details as well, myvillagechurch.com/VBS. So, and I'm sure we'll be posting about that and everything else we talk about here today on Realm, so you can check there as well. But we're pumped about that.
Absolutely.
So. The last thing we just kind of want to give an update on or talk a little bit about in this section of our direct video is Cedar City Church. And so we are super excited that they're going to be sent out to plant fully on their own soon. And so what will be linked in the direct page on the website is an actual update from the Hackneys from Cedar City directly. Zach Pike filmed a video, went up there to their group gathering a couple weeks ago, and just captured some of their thoughts and feelings and updates and all that stuff. So that video will be linked on that direct page, so you guys can just hear from them directly. But we wanted to speak to you all because we know this is going to be a shift and a change for us as well. The first time that we're doing this, all of us together and us as well. So you guys want to share anything with the audience, the people that are watching, about yeah, I just want them to know as we enter that season.
Want me to go? Yeah. I think one, it's just super exciting. It's been a long time coming, and you know, we've like dreamed about this since we planted the village early on, and I think our dreams probably look different than the way things have showed up, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think we've learned alongside David and Renee and those people that are now Cedar City Church or will be very soon, and learn together. And I love kind of trekking along with David and regular meetups and with these guys, and so it's been really good. So like what's going on right now is they're kind of like gradient out. They're here every other week for the next couple months, and then after Easter's on April 21st, the following Sunday will be their last Sunday with us, and then we send them out. And so we're super pumped about that. But at the same time, man, that comes with implications. And so Scott mentioned some of those even this past Sunday or in recent Sundays. And so we just kind of want to hit on a couple of those. One, just the idea of volunteers. There's a void when a considerable percentage-wise group of people are not around. Their kids aren't around, and they're not around. And so we know, as Matt and I lead the majority of the teams around here, servant leaders are people are. Like, we need people, and so we just encourage you, man, if you're not serving, to jump in and serve, and if you are serving, continue to serve faithfully and in healthy ways. And you want to hit on some other implications?
Absolutely, yeah. There's many, and we want you to know, as we talk about these implications, we don't look at them as losses. We look at them as investing opportunities. And man, as far as relationship, people to people, it feels maybe like you're losing a friend or someone you've served alongside, but man, we're investing those relationships into the kingdom. As Michael said, certainly for people volunteering and serving, investing that into Lebanon, and at the same time, we're investing resources, financial resources, as well as they are taking people and what they give to contribute to that church, and we love that, and we're thankful for it. At the same time, that has an impact on how we manage things here and how we consider money and kind of the trends that we see. And so we are excited about what is happening for them in every way. And at the same time, just want to let you guys know that we're being mindful of how to steward what we have here, as it has decreased a little bit in all these areas.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think I said this past Sunday, as of recording this anyway, that it was their first Sunday where they did not gather with us. They gathered as a church on their own, and just looking around this is going to be the new normal for us, and not a very long period of time. And so we can look around, and like Matt said, it's a loss of friends, and not just volunteers or givers or whatever, but just brothers and sisters. Not that they're going forever away. We can drive up and see them. We can still hang out with them and talk to them and all those things. But there's a separation that's there and a loss that's there. And so just for us to know, God, that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. And as much as we celebrate the fact that we get to send them, it's just going to be different. And so we get to grieve that, and we'll be doing that, and as you're doing that. And so we just get to be open about that and talk about that. We do also get to celebrate what God is doing. And so this is not my idea. I forget where I heard it or read it or whatever, but just the idea that we measure success in God's movement not by butts in the seats, but by the people that we send out. And so we've gotten to do that this past year a little bit, and this year certainly with Cedar City, we're excited to do that. And so there will be less people here with us on Sundays, and that also means there's more room for new folks on Sundays. And so we just want to encourage you and invite you into certainly praying for the Hackneys and the core team that make up Cedar City. We also want to invite you into inviting other people to be part of this family. There is a hunger that's birthed from knowing that there is room and all those things, and we felt that, I'm sure, a little bit more at the beginning of the life of the village, and so now we get to enter into that in a way that we get to see with our eyeballs tangibly every single week. And so my prayer is that stirs us to maybe get some of that hunger back for inviting people in to this. But yeah, their last Sunday with us, like Michael said, is going to be April 28th. And so we'll celebrate them and send them off on that day. And they'll be here off and on up until then. But we're excited, but please feel free to reach out to us, talk with your community groups, just as we're processing this change together. Again, this is the first time that the Hackneys and that group is doing it. It's the first time we as a church are doing it. It's the first time we as pastors and elders are doing this. So we get to walk with each other in grace and love, and just get to care for each other as we do that. So with that, we'll close out this section of the video. Kind of on the heels of talking about Cedar City stuff and a hunger and desire to invite people into not just this family or this building on Sundays, but certainly into God's family and into your life. We wanted to talk a little bit about discipleship, and I think Michael had some thoughts you want to kick off.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about all that we are as the Village Church and all the things that are exciting and all the things that are difficult and just everything, like one of the things I think it's been increasing for years, but like just for me personally, and I think collectively now more than ever, like gosh, the church is about making disciples. It has to be, and if it's not, then it should do something else. And so like, but I know there's like a veiled and assumption, all kinds of stuff on what that is and what that isn't, and we do a ton of things, and you guys do a ton of things that is literally disciples making disciples, but I think there's probably elements of that we can definitely grow in, and certainly on the like one-on-one ownership of who are you responsible to, who are you particularly investing in, and maybe that's a super small group of people, maybe that's a larger group, but each one of us in Christ, not because you're part of the Village Church, but because you're part of the kingdom of God, you get to be a disciple that invests in making other disciples. And so I was just reading today, Jesus, he says, come after me and I'll make you fishers of men. And in the New Living Translation, he says, come follow me. And so this is at the beginning of his ministry with his disciples. He's saying, hey, like you should spend some time with me and we're going to like change the world. But this is the way that he says, come follow me and I will show you how to fish for people. And for me, that's like, okay, come and I will make you fishers of men. Sure, but come follow me and I will show you how to fish for people. And so the idea is like Jesus, he came in as a missionary and he said, if you follow me and you obey me, then I will show you what it's like to be about the King's business. And I think for all the stuff that we are and all the stuff that we're not, and all the stuff that I get distracted by in my own personal life, and my life as a pastor, and my life as a leader, I don't want to forsake following Jesus and being about the King's business and then modeling what it looks like to be about the King's business. And so fishers of men, sure, and also and even that, I think about our brother Wes Vandenbark, who time after time he invites people out and they don't know how to fish, and kids and adults, and I just imagine him saying, this is what it looks like to do this, and this is why we fish over here, and like that Jesus is inviting into the same thing, except for not to catch fish, but to grow the kingdom. And so I don't have tangible, hey, do these 9 things, but I just want you to know that's something I'm specifically praying for, and it's something that I want us to be better at as a church. I know that's true for us, and it's something that I encourage you all to just say, to look at your own life, and not even, the culture of the village, and not even the Christians that but your own life, and say, man, how am I, 1, following Jesus, and 2, how am I modeling and showing others how to do just that? So,
absolutely, that's good. That's right. Yeah, every week we say that we gather and we scatter, and we gather to be built up together as disciples, so that we can scatter out to be faithful and effective servants and missionaries of Jesus. And so, like, we literally gather together on Sundays in groups, and all of the formal discipleship opportunities that we have. We do those things so that we can equip you guys to go out and on your own, be among the people that you're among at school, at work, coffee shops, wherever you are, to fish for men and women that are there. And chances are, if you're not doing that, it's not just a missed opportunity for the people that you could be inviting in, but it's a missed opportunity for you. I was reading in Philemon today. Paul writes to him and he says, "I pray that the sharing of your faith may become effective for the full knowledge of every good thing that is in us for the sake of Christ." And so we get to grow and mature and enter into the fullness of knowing who God is by us sharing our faith with other people. And so with that, we just want to invite you, certainly as we talk about the formal opportunities we're about to share, we just want to invite you into considering how these things will actually equip you and empower you to go out and do that, to share your faith with other people and invite folks into God's family, into this family, and into your own family as well. So anything before we jump into like formal stuff at all, Matt?
No, I agree with all that. Just the mindfulness and an intentionality there is what we're trying to do ourselves, and we're inviting you guys to do as well. That's what God's called us to, and it's not going to look the same way every day or every week, but just being aware in the morning, saying, God, who do you want me to talk to when I have these conversations? Holy Spirit, direct my words and give me boldness sometimes to declare truth, and sometimes allow me just to be a good friend and to listen. And so that's what we're trying to grow in as well, and that's what we're, again, inviting you guys into.
Yeah. Cool. Well, here are some of the formal things that we have coming up. You might know about some of these things, or some of these things might be new to you, depending on when you're watching or listening to this. But we've got a Bible study that's coming up, a Spring All Church Bible study. It's a 6-week study through the book of Romans that Lauren Perry is going to lead us through starting on March 24th. And that'll be on Sunday nights from 7 until 9 here at the 210. Except for the Sunday of Easter. They won't be meeting that week for obvious reasons, but 6 weeks in a row besides that. So we would love for you guys to be involved in that, to participate, whether it be your very first Bible study or whether you've done a million of these things. It would be good for you, and our desire for you is to build up not just knowledge about the scriptures, but a confidence and a competence in approaching the Bible and reading it and digging in and being able to interact with God's Word and the Spirit on your own. So we would love for you to be a part of that. There's a sign-up sheet here at the Connect desk in the 210. There's also a way to register and get some more details on our website, myvillagechurch.com/Bible study. So that's coming up. We did a class called Gospel Basics in January, and because of the weather stuff, it got shifted around, and there were a lot of people that said they wanted to come or were interested in coming but couldn't because of all of the shuffling of the dates and everything. And so we're going to do a makeup class for that the morning of April 14th, before the gathering actually. So it'll probably be like 8:30 to 10 or something like that here at the 210, but just want to let you guys know to put that on your calendar if you'd like to come to that. It's just a time for us to explore, man, what is the gospel? Really, like, how do we know what it is? We might hear cliches and phrases and stuff thrown out, but really, what does the Bible say the good news of Jesus is? How can we apply that in our daily life and live out of that good news? So we'll dig into some of that stuff like we did the last time we did it, but that'll be April 14th. We'd love to invite you guys into that. And then we have the next class in this series called Discipleship Basics. That'll be on May 11th, which is a Saturday. It'll be in the morning, and we just want to kind of in the theme of what we're talking about with discipleship, just talk about what does it mean to be a disciple. What's it mean to make disciples, to mature as a disciple, to multiply disciples? What is discipleship? How can we do that? So we'll talk kind of trying to define some of that and maybe dispelling some myths and deconstructing some things, but also just talking practically about what does it look like for us to make, mature, and multiply disciples as the church. So we'll talk about that that morning, and also along the lines explicitly about talking about Discipleship Rooted, which is our monthly women's gathering. They're talking all about discipleship this year. And so this past gathering here in March, they talked about what it meant to be a disciple. In April, they're going to talk about what it means to kind of make disciples. And then the following month in May, they're going to have kind of a panel to do some Q&A stuff with folks who have from different backgrounds and different experiences in doing discipleship, so that we can just ask questions and learn from their wisdom and their experience and all of that stuff. And so that last Rooted in May is actually just a couple days after the Discipleship Basics class, and we shifted that around. And Rooted is actually inviting anyone who wants to come to ask questions to be part of that evening. So if you leave Discipleship Basics with questions and wanting to know more, and hopefully you do, then we would love to see you there for that last session of Rooted. So those are some of the formal things coming up here in the next few months. We've got some leadership opportunities, maybe some gaps to fill, or just opportunities for training and stuff like that as well, that we wanted to talk with you about. And so you guys want to talk about some of those things?
We had initially intended to, in fact, this month and next month, do kind of a longer course on leadership through an outlet called Porterbrook. And just with all of the stuff, the way that last year ended, and just like the idea that we probably know that a lot of people are not burned out, but certainly like weathered from full calendars and all that stuff. We decided not to do that for our leaders' sake, but that also is for you all, whether you're a leader or not. And so we do, in the name of gospel basics and discipleship basics, we won't have a date for it, but put together like a leadership basics, both for servant leaders and those who lead here around Village Life, and also those that, any of you who lead anything. And what we say is we encourage you all to be leaders, and sometimes it starts with just leading yourself, leading your family, leading in your sphere of influence, and maybe you lead a group or a team or whatever at the village or whatever. Maybe you lead teams of teams or groups of groups. Maybe you lead movements, like you can lead anything.
Lead the revolution.
Right, and so we just want to make sure that we're carving out space to invest, because we know that you do lead in all circles of life, and we just want to make sure that our leadership is rooted in, basics that, not just that we learn from scriptures, but that we see modeled in both character and in practice from the scriptures. So that's something that will come this year. It's just not on the calendar yet.
Absolutely. Cool. Also, one small thing, we are doing a songwriting workshop bi-monthly, which is that every other month, or is that
twice a month?
That's not twice a month.
There's no way to tell.
Totally depends. Yeah.
This is
BI or BY?
Either way. This is the every other month we're going to be doing that. We've had one. I think it went well. We're excited to continue to learn. Whether you write songs, whether you just want to learn a little bit more about what we do at the Village in our kind of music time, called worship time, but that time in the gathering when we sing, we'd love for you to be a part of that, to grow, and we ourselves who are leading it are growing and learning as well. So we don't pretend to have all the answers, but we want to equip you guys who want to write poetry, music, whatever, to be able to do that better. And as we've talked about all these opportunities, they are opportunities. We know that some of you maybe are in a really busy season of life, and we are not saying we want you to be a part of all of this, but as we want to be able to equip you in every area of life, we're laying out all of these opportunities for you to consider, to pray over, and to be a part of some of them.
Absolutely. So some of that stuff, we've been trying to consider what it looks like to do like more self-study things, so that we're not asking you to be here, 18 weeks in a row or, a million different times. And so when it comes to group leadership, we're always wanting to train and develop new leaders, or just people that are interested in knowing more about what it looks like to lead a group here at the Village, whether or not you end up planting a group. And so we have like a self-study. We've got 5 lessons that are recorded video format. You can watch. There's homework for those things, interactive stuff or whatever. So if you're interested in leading a group here or just learning more, there's really no skin. You could just go to the link and look at the videos, watch the videos, digest some of that content, maybe with other people or whatever. But we'd love for you to take a look at that. We are, like I said, always wanting to develop and send out new group leaders. So if you're interested in that, please let us know, and I will post the link to that training stuff in the direct page as well, and we'll have details for those other opportunities on there too as they pop up. Another big thing that we want to offer to the church this year, which is some self-study opportunities, is what it looks like to do some soul care and specifically some training around just what does it look like, the intersection between like mental health and faith and the clinical side of those things and everything like that in the Christian life. How do we come alongside as the church, mental health and those who have those struggles in their daily lives? And so the first thing that we want to offer to you guys is a course on soul care, and this is a self-study course. There's 10 lessons to it. It's free. Dr. Larry Crabb is the guy who leads it. There'll be a link to one page that talks about that, this course and the Mental Health Grace Alliance course on the page as well. But we would just invite anybody who is interested in learning what it looks like to enter in and move closer to people when they are struggling with things in life. And it could just be ordinary daily struggles, or it could be crises that happen. And we know, I think all of us, most of us who were here last year was a tough year, and it's not like that just goes away when the calendar flips. And so we just want to train and equip you guys who did step in and love and move towards each other in difficult seasons. We want to equip you for that, so that you feel more confident, not just in yourself really, but really in the movement of God and His Spirit and His truth, which is the thing that actually gets the work done and provides healing and comfort to anybody. And so that's a 10-lesson course we want to invite you into. We will have 2 meetups to get together and chat about some of that stuff. And so those meetups will be on June 2nd and July 14th. Both of those are Sundays. And so we're just going to hang out here after the gathering from probably 12 until 1 or so and just talk about some of the content together, maybe bring in some other things as well. You can bring your lunch, but we want to provide some space for you guys to digest that content together in community. You can go through that course on your own whenever you want to, but we want to talk about it if you're interested in doing that. And so our hope is to offer that to the church at large, whoever wants to do that. But a second hope for us is if there might be some individuals, some men and women, who kind of going through that course feel like, man, this is something that I would actually like to make my primary way of ministering or serving the church is through just offering soul care and coming alongside people. We would desire that. We would love for that to happen. We want to be able to offer that as pastors too. But the 4 of us, and including Adam, no, we're not adequate to do that. We're leading a church of, that's bigger than individual families, and yet we also want to be present in every living room, but that's just not possible. So we want to equip you and mobilize you to do that. And if there might be a few folks who would want to make that their primary role, we would love maybe that to be a fruit of this course. So that's the soul care, biblical soul care course. The second one kind of follows up in terms of time with that. Again, you can look at these courses anytime you want to, but in terms of digesting this together as a church, we're going to look at Grace Academy's course. It is something birthed out of Saddleback Church, Rick Warren's church. His son tragically committed suicide years back, and birthed from that was this movement of, man, what does it look like for the church to enter into this space where there's a clinical aspect to this, but also there's a very huge spiritual aspect to it as well. And so that course, I believe there's 6 lessons to it. There's a few different tracks you can take. So it's not very big, but it just gives you an introductory understanding to maybe how some folks experience their Christian walk and their spiritual life with the intersection of mental illness, and how those of us, the church at large, can come alongside those with mental illness and just offer understanding and comfort, what is helpful, what is not helpful, all of those sorts of things. And so by and large, education and awareness is the goal for this particular course, but the course is also geared towards building a restoration group potentially. So if that's something that anyone as we go through this course would be interested in doing, offering kind of a support group for a set number of weeks for those either with mental illness or those who, their family or friends, they're walking with someone who has mental illness. That's something that is open to anybody that wants to be a part of that. And so we're praying, just as we hope that there might be some individuals wanting to have biblical soul care as maybe their primary way of ministering to the church, that maybe there might from this training be someone or some people that would like to offer the support group for the church as well. So those are 2 opportunities for growth, training, equipping that we just hope will make this family all the more healthy and equipped to step into each other's lives and offer care. So I think that kind of wraps up this particular section of the video. We're going to move into just some other kind of final business at this point. So lastly, just want to go through just a couple of business things real quick. And our favorite part of any of these meetings is always Matt doing the finances. And so we're going to let him talk about some money stuff for a minute.
Sounds good. Thanks for letting me talk about this.
You're welcome.
Put a post. I feel very well. Thank you very much. I put a post on Realm probably a month or so ago, kind of talking about where our budget was set up for this year in regards to monthly stuff, and we put that around $23,400, considering a couple of things. And then, man, we had some discussion with the elders, with the budget team, and their desire and our desire really is to consider a couple big things. We consider well, what do we have? What is God allowing us to have per month? What are the trends? What do we need to allow our church to function and to be healthy and to equip our leaders for stuff? And then at the same time, man, how are we trusting God to say, man, we would love to be able to do these things, and we're asking humbly that you would give us the resources to do those things. So after considering all those things, we actually reduced our budget down from 23.5-ish to about 22.4 or 22.5, depending on a month. And so the mindfulness of that, first of all, is just, man, we want to steward well what God has given to us, and we don't want to presume that, man, just because we have some good things in mind, that God will automatically give us that money. And so I'm thankful for Nate, for the budget team, and their considerations of these things. And so that's the first thing, is just that we've reduced our monthly budget from 23.5 to 22.5, and what those expenses are not way important, but there's some peripheral things that we felt maybe we could do without for a little bit of time. And so that's where that is right now. I'll post some more on Rome on that specific thing sooner than later. Also, I just want to say thank you to you guys as a church for supporting not just a budget or a number, but what God is doing here. We really appreciate you guys and your generosity, and sometimes even sacrificial giving. And so thank you for that. We were rather unhealthy at the end of last year, 2018, and a couple of things happened, all played out at once to where we were not doing well financially, and by God's grace, we're not where we want to be yet, but we are healthier than we were then. We're grateful for what has come in, and when you look at this first quarter, a couple of things have actually made this look really good. We had one couple that kind of gave all at one time up front, and that helps offset some cost, and then also there was maybe a one or two single gift that was a little larger than expected. And so obviously keeping all that in consideration, we know that we can't count on all of this throughout the year, but we're trying to be mindful of these extra gifts and how God allows us to have money in certain places in the year. And so thanks for your generosity. At the same time, we invite you guys, if you're not giving right now, we encourage you to pray about how you might be able to support, again, not just this building or whatever, but what God wants us to do. And we have many things that we would love to do this year in regards to Hamilton, in regards to mission opportunity, in regards to soul care, youth stuff going on. And so we don't have the funding for all of this yet, but we're inviting you guys and praying as to how we might be able to do these things, at the same time being good stewards of what God has given to us. I think that is largely it. We could talk a lot about money. Do you guys have anything else that you would like to share or feel like would be helpful in explaining?
Just thank you. Yeah, just gratitude.
And I didn't see any slides or anything, but
there was no slides that were goofed up, so man, you're welcome for that as
Boo.
well.
we sincerely thank you.
Yes.
You're a gift.
Yeah, and one last thing, if you have any questions on how stuff is being spent or what your contributions are going to, man, we've always tried to have nothing to hide, to be an open book, and love to talk about anything. So again, talk to any of us anytime, talk to me, talk to Nate. But we are here to just let you know, gosh, this is what we're doing. This is how we see the year looking. And so, man, please talk to us.
Yeah. Sweet. Cool. I want to just give an update quick on Adam Hanauer and kind of where he's at in terms of eldership stuff. We mentioned some stuff like last year sometime, and it's kind of hung out there for a while. And so I just want to give you guys an update on that.
Yeah, Adam. Hey, Adam. Man, I guess to say this simply, we knew that as we had 4 elders, 2 were on staff, and 2 were not on staff. We knew that when we brought Matt on, that would change our dynamic, and that we always evaluate rhythms and how to make the best use of our time together and all those things. And we also always really value elders meetings and all that stuff. So given the fact that Adam then at that point was the only non-staff elder, as much as we tried to safeguard and hit this head on and know that we talk about stuff throughout the day and throughout the days that he's not going to be privy to and all that stuff, and but really kind of just that along with the fact that his life kind of swelled up and he had just family stuff and he has a super stressful job and all that stuff, and so that's kind of what led to him just taking a break for a little bit. And so we were fortunate enough to get to reconnect relatively not that long ago, and we just kind of talked through this stuff and what it looked like. And as an encouragement, Adam's back in, and he's all in.
Yeah.
And he and Emily are such an encouragement to me personally, and I know to us, and I know to the church at large. And so they're in, and what we're trying to do is just kind of make sure that we craft the distinction between staff elder and lay elder or non-staff elder, so that we all bear the same weight, that we all care for the flock by knowing, feeding, leading, and protecting what God has allowed us to oversee. That is the village church. And so that doesn't change for anybody that would be called an elder, that we would commission as an elder. But the weight, the day-to-day responsibility, that does change. And so we just want to make sure that Adam and future elders bear a reasonable weight in both rhythm and when we connect and all those things. And, like at the end of the day, he shouldn't have to be dealing with dates on the calendar and all kinds of stuff that we deal with just, throughout the week and through the office. And so that's kind of what's going on. He's all in. We love him. So thankful for him and his family. And, it might be nice if you guys would encourage him as well. So.
Yeah, for sure. So that wraps up our little video direct to you guys. Again, we'll have an in-person kind of chat, Q&A, just spend some time together if you want to talk about anything here or outside of what we've shared today on April 14th after the gathering. And you can find, again, more information, this video, supplemental stuff at myvillagechurch.com/direct. Hopefully this was helpful, guys. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.